Well, there you are again. Charlie Greer podcast again. Yeah, I do it every day. Today, we're talking about the paranormal Hollywood, Los Angeles. There's just some stuff going on. It kind of blows my mind that, like, I ran the creeks and was in the woods and lived in kind of rural areas. And then you get into Los Angeles. Um, that's where I saw the most uh, paranormal UFOs, cryptid, everything in the city. You would think that there was maybe there's a park near and there's hardly any grass. Everybody's on top of each other. Nobody has off street parking. Uh, Again, you would think that I would saw that in the middle of no. And some of the stuff I saw was like right there. It just like there was other people around. Like it was no big deal. Like I mean, to Pasadena, I guess it's the San Gabriel Mountains. They're so beautiful. I always look at when I'm walking. I stare at those, and I would see stuff coming and going. Sometimes they would flash when they left or entered the mountain, or sometimes they wouldn't. Sometimes you would just see a bunch of them. And that's one guy we were standing. He saw that. I go, man, what was that? Oh, well, that was the El Nino wind coming down and taking out all those power boxes. Really? Maybe. I mean, I don't know. He saw it too. Like, would they have that blue kind of? I don't know. Wouldn't there be fires if afterwards? Crazy shit. Saw huge. It must have been granted. It's hard to tell because it was near the mountain. But usually when you see it, they're so small. This thing was big. Just bobbing then gone. On the highway when I saw it, or the frontage road near the 210. Because I hate getting on the 210. Man, you might be stuck for your exit is like 100 feet away, and you're just stuck on a highway. Granted, the first day you touched down, I happened to be what was it? I was on Oakwood and Sierra Bonita, maybe was that it? And like the Fairfax district in Hollywood, nice area if you can afford it. And right off the bat, the first thing we did, we go to where do we go? Anyway, went to this famous deli on Fairfax. Like literally, I've been there an hour. We walked there. We run into Julian Lennon is shooting a video in his front where he lived. Uh, just right off the bat. Canners. We go to Canners Deli. And again, see Julian Lennon and people. That's the thing to do. I guess back it was go. Oh yeah, it's all haunted. It's everybody knows. But my place, they're like, well, mine isn't. So I wish, damn, it's like, fine, we're haunted. I love ghosts. What shit? And you see these, they're old. They got new wood floors and stuff, but man, they just like, it's old. I mean, I'm in an old house right now, but man, Hollywood is, I think they made those in the 20s, maybe. Probably the boom, the 20s. And then split them up into apartments. Uh, So it's a thing. Everybody, oh well, Marilyn Monroe, she's haunting that, and so, and then the Paramount, and it's everything. Brown dirt. There's a ghost everywhere. And I saw again the craziest stuff I ever saw was in Los Angeles. And Los Angeles is city of the angels. That's what it means. Los Angeles, city of the angels. There's something to that. I mean, there's 12 million people there. People coming and going every day with dreams and success, and then leaving with God knows if they're lucky enough to leave. I mean, now it's changed though. I don't think so many people are going to LA. It's nothing. There's other places to go. Now you can shoot something on your phone and win an award. I mean, cheers. I'm having coffee. It is 8:19 in the a.m. I do these early, yo. I'm gonna start doing 2 a day, but for now. So yeah, paranormal. Again, it wasn't it was already, I got there in 98. No, I was old hat by the time and seeing shit. And the first house I had, it was old, man. I didn't, didn't see anything. Never had any creepy kind of, none of that. Then when I moved out of there, I moved into this place I've talked about before, previous podcast, across the street from Paramount on Van Ness. It's kind of a famous building. Now I think it's a motel now. It goes back and forth from bachelor apartments to motels. I've lived there twice over the years. First time I had the third floor right across from the fire escape. I forgot the number of the apartment, biggest apartment in the building. I didn't know how lucky I was when the building's loud. There's a lot of shit going on there. And then I always had basically, so anyways, when I moved in there, whoa, it was just crazy. And I've talked about these things, seeing the red lights on the walls, being choked during your sleep, mysterious stain on the wall, the owners talking about all kinds of crazy stuff. It used to be a brothel for like the stars and the executives, and there's a tunnel across the street to Paramount, and then it was a gambling hall, like an illegal. And all the rooms used to be connected, so there's a false door, like it's been like painted over or whatever, in every apartment. So you could literally just like tick, 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 go through wherever. Old building. Saw, we moved out. In fact, I moved out the first time when I was on the third floor. Because the first time I was on the third floor, the second time I was on the first floor. First time I moved out, I just couldn't take it. There was just so much stuff going on, and it just, one time I got off working. I used to do some acting, and I got off, and I was in they let me go, but I still had these mutton chops. I was, like this Elvis thing, this hair, they made my hair look, something that's like 70s movie, 60s trucker or whatever. Still like that. Hey, got home, gonna use some acetone or whatever, get that off and take a shower and knock on my door. I'd already talked to the people on the fire escape, like, look, let me clean this up, come out, I'll have beers and smoke cigarettes, tell you my day. And I knocked on the door thinking it was them, like, what do you guys need? And it was some dude, like a punch, bam, some dude punched me. And he was drunk, and he mistaken me for my neighbor, I guess. And his wife came out. Oh, yeah. They got kicked out. He almost tried to throw me. He snuck up behind me and tried to throw me off the fire escape. I caught him, and it's like LA kind of shit. Like just, I'm out of here, man. I moved to Echo Park, which honestly was worse. I should, the devil, kind of thing. But this is before it was cool, before Echo Park got all, oh, Echo Park. No, man. I was on off Sunset and Alvarado on Kent. It's like on this hill, and I was in the back behind this house. There's these duplexes. They're still there. And that was another. Again, I heard stuff, but not that much paranormal. It was more like gang activity and like just violence and crazy. That's when they still had that homeless encampment by the 101. Because on my porch, I could see like the 101 to my left. In front of me, you could see the hills, Hollywood sign. To the right, you could see sunset. All the building was flat. Nothing was built up. You could just see neighborhood after neighborhood. Now it's all, it was bad. You didn't go out at night. But it was cheap. It was like $375 for that duplex. Shit. Dangerous. Had to move out because it was so dangerous. And maybe these people, if people have, everybody I know that I knew in LA had similar shit going on. Like we all had. Matter of fact, when I had roommates going, they would have the same thing. We'd all like, oh yeah. Sometimes it was worse for them. Sometimes it was worse for me. Sometimes we see it together. Like, what in the hell? But again, you get so many extremes in Los Angeles, the highs and lows, the highest of the highs, I'm a movie star, and the lowest of the lows, I didn't make it, the misery and pain, all that, millions of people. Just think of the people coming and going, it's just like, wow. Everybody goes out there from somewhere else looking. follow a dream or hide or something, blend in. Some guy back in the day, maybe in the 40s or something, he found a tunnel system that was under LA, huge tunnels and caverns and this, that, and that. He claimed it was built by, it was an ancient, he kind of said that there was like reptilians down. I don't know about that, but he talked about, uh, uh, again, LA, it's just weird. City of Angels, that's Spanish. I mean, what would they talk about? I mean, Hollywood proper used to be like orange fields, man. For the silent film, it was just far oranges. I mean, just shit, cowboys, and then Hollywood Hills was the Hollywood sign. It was Hollywood, what they Hollywood land. They had it was like a neighborhood and selling land to build houses. When I left, all those little houses in Hollywood, these little stucco houses, they're gone. They were building, just mowing over them. A lot of times they just leave it as a, I don't get it. They just leave it as a plot with a fence around it, like tearing up neighborhoods and trees and, um, yeah. Maybe that's it. Maybe the whole, again, it's just that same minute you stir shit up. Um, and some of the places that I lived, I lived in this one place, a nice house. It was in Granada Hills, but it's one of those places where the woman, she was like a psychiatrist or some kind of like therapist, whatever, had inherited this house from her father, and then was bored with like just wanted to and make some extra money. I don't know, time stuff. So she rented out like 5 rooms. She had like 5 extra bedrooms. So hey, move in. At first it's cool, and then you're like, oh, living with all these people, and there was a shadow person. This girl, like there was couples that lived there. And finally, she got rid of all the couples. She's like, I ain't doing couples anymore, just single people. And it was a girl. She's like, I'm saying this thing at night. I mean, and I thought, what? Because she was kind of just, she wouldn't really talk to anybody unless she was complaining. But it seemed like after they moved out, because there was a period where she kicked out a bunch of people, and I was the only one there for a while. And I started seeing, I'd get up at night to go to the bathroom or go into the kitchen, and I would see this black figure. Like, that's what she was talking about. The shadow person, she called. Then you look up shadow people, like, oh my God, that's a thing. I'm moving out of here again. And I did. I got out of there, went to Pasadena. That's when it was like 2010. I think it was March of 2010. I was like, look, I want to get out of like LA, because Pasadena is like past, you going up, you take the 210 up start with the San Gabriel Mountains. It's almost like a college town, like the Rose Bowl is there. It's still in LA. It's a good suburb, but it's nicer. It's just more working class. There's more, again, colleges and scientific study things, rocket engineering, everything. So I found this cheap, like bachelor apartment, and yeah, it was like I think March of 2010. That's another thing where I wanted to get a place away from, because it was a standalone. It was like connected to the garage, and there was the house. There was like 5 houses on this plot. Had like my own driveway. There was a couple of drive. We could share driveway. It didn't matter, but I was wanting to flip cars so I could have a driveway. That's real important to have a driveway, just to like wash your car and hang out, barbecue, whatever. And if I bought a few cars, I could have like 3 cars in the park, driveway, and it was a long driveway. Never had anything in my place happen like within my apartment, but I saw that night walker thing. My dog saw, like, what the fuck? Glowing. We had no, we're in a cave. It was stupid looking, scary, but you think like, what am I seeing? And it took me a while to figure out what I was seeing. And then I found that there was videos of these things. Hell, before the Indians dealt with these things. The Native Americans that lived there before me. And then in the back, when I lived there in the back, one of the backyards just like caved in. And good thing nobody was out there, because they'd had a tent with, They used to party out there and have barbecues, and not a tent, but of a, like a big old whatever it was, and picnic tables, and one night that just kind of just fell in. It made like this big, bowl basically, a big hole. I'm like, look at everybody, you weren't out there. And then they were like, oh yeah, they got the plant. There used to be a horse farm, and that was where I guess it was an old pond or something. They thought they'd fill anyway. So they had to fill that in, it's like horse farm. And they showed me like the blueprints, and they showed me like old pictures, and you couldn't believe where you're at. Because there's houses that you're just like, it's just the same. Are you sure? Barns, and like, we're talking about back in the day, like around the turn of the century, 1910, 19, whatever it was. So things change, progress, things progress, things change, trees grow, houses are built, barns are built, they fall. And how long is wood going to last? Especially in that hot sun. And literally that's what they used to do. These first Hollywood were barns. Like there's a big wooden building, And they were a family in New York. They made leather gloves. They made their fortune with leather gloves, and they're the ones that came with the click, 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 like the first kind of, moving pitches, they called them. Turned into motion picture, but they, to this day, their descendants are like powerful people in Hollywood, and they should be, because hell, they started that game. And even Charlie Chaplin's old studios, which turned into A&M when I lived in LA, and I got to walk around there and be in Studio B and stuff. They're these cool little like, and maybe hopefully they're still there, because they tore down a bunch of them, but they're like these little huts. Like it looks like you're in the Hobbit world or something. It's awesome. The architecture's kind of weird looking. Now I think it's Jim Henson's studio. Then right across the street from that was, is it the Seventh Veil? One of those strip clubs that's famous. I never went in there myself. I just, no, I'm not gonna. Nope, ain't going. But I got to hang out there. Wasn't my band. It was a friend of a friend. Hey, I think I have just to come hang out. I could never afford Studio B and A&M. Like everything had been recorded there. Like, oh, well, Google it. But there's paranormal, man. The UFOs, and doesn't matter if you're at the beach or in Hollywood, in the valley, pick a valley, Orange County, shit. It's maybe it's always been going on, and just doesn't matter how much neighborhoods and strip malls you build. You're gonna. It just continues. You're going to see this stuff. And again, everybody I knew, sometimes they want to talk about it like, oh, Charlie. Sometimes we all were dealing with it, like the whole building. And I wouldn't recommend living in a building in LA, because it's like bed bugs and just, 240 apartments or something, and they're all occupied. And everybody's listening everybody's windows open because it's so hot, and everybody's got the radio or what listening to it. Just get used to, get comfortable being uncomfortable, especially with your ears. Like, can you sleep at night? Will you be able to? A lot of fun, though. When I worked at the Hollywood Toys and Costume, we saw a big ghost. A couple of us did. One of the guys would never talk to me after he didn't want to talk about it. He kind of blamed me, like, what the hell, huh? And before that, they had, whatever had happened, that they had pulled off these exoskeletons that are like on a cast iron, drilled into and through them, because we rented like Hollywood costumes, like real costumes. Because we sold like cheap costumes and then mid-level, and then like stuff that people will use in a movie. Like a big giant, whatever. They'll build you one. With a wig area where they could do a kind. And the wig woman, she loved me. She was from the South too, and she got everybody go to my art shows, because I was working there. I was doing art shows, and I got the owner to come. They bought paintings. They knew people I worked for. He was like, dude, you got to go in there. You gave me the keys. You go click on the lights and everything's fine. You come out and tell us. We'll come. That's what I. That's how I started. They wanted me to get there in the morning, and I did, and it was creepy, man. I mean, it was just shit. I'm the one that discovered the fight or whatever. Who the ghost that beat up the ectoskeletons with like costumes on it. They ripped them out and just threw it across this huge store. Nothing was stolen. I mean, you look at it, you could see, I'm not like a crime investigator, but see, CSI, but you can see, okay, it started here. Well, it went that way. Something happened here. Nothing was stolen. There's no footprints. There's nothing, They're like, oh, it's the gin. That's what they called it. There's a gin in there. Gin. They're Persian. I was like, what the gin? Oh, yeah, it's a ghost. It's a. And then when I looked into it, that old building was like they held the first Oscars there. It was this like famous old studio. They converted it into like a retail space. And then it had been haunted since shit. I mean, long before I got there, long before the dudes got there. Maybe it's that land. Maybe it's cursed for the misery of millions of starstruck ingenues who. Because it's not necessarily paranormal, but you see these like real bad like people with stars in their eyes drive up. Like when I lived in the building across from Paramount, I'd be about to walk my dog, coming down the stairs on the street, and these people would pull up a car full of stuff, get out. I'm in Hollywood. I'm at woo, and like, oh yeah, I talked to I'm gonna rent a place here. Like, bro, bring it down a notch. You got a couple notches. You got no, don't be. Why? You're about to find out why. I mean, shit. Give it an hour. Acting like that. And of course, in like 6 weeks, he looks like a different person. He knocked on my door. I'm going back to Georgia or wherever they're going. Just had some kind of, yeah, you gotta, just kind of, that first year in Hollywood, I had just like kind of, whoa, just learn to, just shit, just I'd go out and parties, but again, I wasn't like once you get used to it, all that stuff, you have to feel your way around and realize it's like, hey, just because the burrito stands open doesn't mean you need to go there in the middle of the night. I mean, that first time you're walking down the street and people are like ducking, looking at buildings, and they got you surrounded, like, oh man, I'll never do this again. When one of the craziest things I saw, but it looked the stupidest even, was when they let everybody out about a year or so ago. And we could finally come out of the house. And so everybody went out. I did. I grabbed my dogs. And I was in Arcadia. So I lived off First Street. And on First Street, there's the junior high. It's an old junior high made out of marble. It's awesome. It's been in movies and stuff. And there's a big front yard. So people were on the front, multiple people walking on the sidewalk. There's everybody out. And I saw this cryptid thing. My dog saw it first. It was a damn dog man or some wolf, whatever the hell it was. My dogs reacted. I look up and across the yard, and there's people again around. There was people like 20 foot from this. There was a car parked behind that in the street. I saw this like big. It was tall as the car, like this furry. It looked like a half circle, hairy, bulging mass. Like what? I looked down at the dogs, and they're pulling, getting away, and I look up, and here's this like dog man. It was a female. her head was bigger than her shoulder. It looked stupid. She wasn't that big. She was tall, but wasn't like a werewolf. No, and doing this kind of a big grin on her face, like what in the look? What that gone? Like 5 seconds it was. People had seen it. I wasn't the only one. The one lady had her phone out. I was trying to talk to her. She spoke Mandarin. And the dogs were just freaking, I mean, like tearing up dirt. Like, okay, let's go. And again, a lot of people didn't even, there was baby strollers. And nobody seemed to, I thought like maybe the junior high was put on a play and they just ran out there. But how could they do something that quick and be gone? There's nowhere to go. Again, you think like, oh yeah, he's crazy. I've seen this. Maybe Huxley was right. The doors of perception. Maybe my doors are just open more than others, and I can actually. Again, it happened so fast. Maybe people didn't. You turn your head at that, you wouldn't have saw it. Again, maybe 5 seconds. I saw a little thing that same week. Part of me, I saw this like little cloaking thing, look like a little in Terminator, like when it turns, like he's a cloaking. It's kind of not technically right, it's just kind of blurry. You can see, but it's like when it moves, you can see. I saw one of these things. In fact, I saw it. It was like attacking a raven or a crow. I mean, I looked, and it was like right above me. So I got a good look at it. It was even doing some kind of weird click, like go, just. And I went with my dogs. I just finished a walk. I used to walk in Arcadia Park and do like 3 to 5 miles, just burn out the toxins. And what I just saw the dog woman or whatever who she was. There's nowhere. This is a concrete jungle. There's trees that are cut out of concrete. There isn't anything. My backyard's just brick. Half of it was brick, like a brick floor, and then dirt, sand, just nothing, weeds, if that. And there is no, I mean, in the park, it's grass, but everybody's in the park. I mean, they have security all night and there's big trees and stuff, but where would something live? Maybe in the top of the tree? I don't know. Where would they go unless they could? Or like a raccoon, like living underneath some kind of backyard. I don't know. Shit. Again, I saw some weird stuff in the woods, but not near. And noises. And I mean, this probably happens, but Hollywood Boulevard, sometimes, or in Hollywood, you like just get pushed and look back. There's nobody there. It's just like, what the fuck? Or just that strange shit. Like, man, I'm getting the fuck out of here. I lived in Hollywood probably like 10 years solid. Then I was out there 24 years. So the rest of that, I was either in like the Valley, Venice, Pasadena, Arcadia. Because I lived 6 years in Pasadena and then 6 years in Arcadia. So I spent like 12 years in the San Gabriel Valley. Just to kind of, it's close enough to get to LA when you need to, but you just by then I just want to get out because I was tired of all the, it was changing and it was, you get bored with it too. And it's just so cramped, no parking. And it's, and in Pasadena, the streets are wider. It's like a normal town. At first you kind of like that city because in Hollywood, you can't, people like, oh, nobody walks in LA. They do, man. You can walk, if you live off, you walking down Sun, hitting, the train, the bus. And I also wanted to start teaching. I was like, I need a place where I'm, and honestly, Pasadena, I mean, again, it'd be better to be in Hollywood, but what I had in Pasadena, I couldn't afford in Hollywood. You're just so packed in, I couldn't have a patio and off-street parking. Again, you think, oh, you take for granted stuff, but you're going to need that in LA. You're going to need off-street parking because your car's going to get broken into, stolen, this, that, towed illegally. If you've been out there long enough, it's going to happen. Sometimes it's happened right off the bat. I've been with friends where we're going to meet at this certain bar. We park. We'll park on the back street, wait for us there, and we all park, party, whatever, come back. And in the street, like, what the hell? Like a car just went bam, bam, bam to each car. And you're like, oh my God, oh no. And they missed your car and everybody else was just smashed. You're like, yes, you're celebrating. And they're like, oh my God. This stupid Hollywood stuff. Yeah, people hitting your car, like parking the. This is a thing. If you're in a parking lot, park far away from no, because you don't want you're gonna get fender benders, man. It's gonna happen. I mean, I know that's not paranormal. I'm not admitting with that, but this is gonna be like a recurring theme of mine where I'm talking about things and that happen to me. There's some things are paranormal, so part of this will be that. I do this every day. I love y'all. See you tomorrow. Be blessed. Cheers.